Hi, this is Sari. Our new podcast is called Mind Your Job. Today, we're going to be talking to somebody who has 22 years of recruiting experience and works with me on a lot of resumes and a lot of different job projects to help fill jobs within the healthcare field as well as legal and other miscellaneous. Her name is Samara Shapiro. She has her own company, Morgan Dar, and we're going to talk about how the resume can really change your life. What recruiters are looking for, and what are some of the things recruiters don't want to see in your resume. So, without any more time wasted, Sam, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Sari. Absolutely. I fell into recruiting. I had recently graduated from UW-Madison many years ago and reached out to a recruiting firm to ask for help in finding a job. And I fell in love with what they did. And I was hired on and stayed there for 22 years until I left the summer and started my own business. And I've done recruiting everything from admin through CFO, admin through professional in a variety of different industries, pivoting as the economy changed. So I've mortgage was where I kind of started, and then all the way up to supply chain, aerospace, legal, and healthcare.
So, what do you find the most interesting thing when you get a resume? You're putting an ad out there, somebody's asking you to trust, somebody's asking you to find them a job. They need your trust in being able to seek out resumes and candidates that are worthy of the job. What are things that you look for in a resume? Like, what do you see? What's compelling to you? What's going to make you call somebody on the phone, and what isn't going to make you call someone on the phone?
When I first look at a resume, because that is the calling card of the job seeker, I want to see how they present themselves, how they format, how they think things through. So the resume does need to be concise. It does need to explain their history. I am not a fan of the how do you put it? I like the chronological resumes, not the functional resumes. I want to see where you've been and how your career progressed and how you got to be who you are today. Some people like to lump it all together and say that I'm a healthcare professional and then talk about their background, but don't really give me an idea of how they got to where they are. Not a fan of that. I want to see step by step how you got there. As far as what else I don't want, I don't really like to see miscellaneous activities or what you do for fun. I don't think that really belongs on a resume. That comes up during the interview. That comes up when they get to know you a little bit more. But the resume really is your calling card as to why the recruiter, the hiring manager should pick up the phone and invite you in for that interview.
What happens when somebody puts it in a lump versus chronological? Do you ever call them anyway and say, hey, I really like maybe your experience or your knowledge. Let me help you put your resume together in a way that it's more enticing for the person that I'm hiring?
I tried.
Does that ever come up or
It
happen?
does. It does. What I will also do is if there is that kind of background, or if there's a resume like that and like this person might be good but I don't fully understand because it's all lumped together, I will actually go to their LinkedIn profile also to see if that tells a better story, and then also give them a call and say, hey, you're great, your background, you have a lot to say, you have a lot to contribute, but this is not going to get you phone calls. Let's talk this through and how we can redo this for you. I find that the resumes that are bullet point, chronological bullet point, what you did, start with action verbs, because as we all know, the AI is picking up and deciding who some of these candidates should be called. So you have to have it very clear, very concise. You've also heard that people spend seconds on a resume if they are looking at it. There's a human looking at it, so you have to be able to see right away in the first third of your resume why they should be calling you.
Yeah, because sometimes when I'm looking at resumes, I can sort of see the forest through the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's like where somebody was educated, if it's like one dental school over another, I can say, oh, that person went to Tufts, for example.
Sure.
I know they got an amazing education.
Mm-hmm.
They just have zero clue how to translate that on a piece of paper. Like, how do you tease that out of somebody? How do you do it?
Yeah, you you truly in the conversation, you don't want to offend them either. It's like, hey, you got a great background. You went to Tufts. That's awesome. let's try and make this make sense to the job seeker or to the hiring manager, because you are a healthcare provider, you're a doctor, you know how to do what you're doing. The hiring manager has their own way of doing things. Let me tell you how to think like them so that you will be able to get that call. You have to think like the hiring manager in order to say, what are they going to want to see? How much time do they have to review resumes? What do I need to do to make this stand out right away?
The other thing I think is real interesting is like, what do we do for new grads? I mean, a new grad doesn't have a whole lot to put on their resume. So what do you think stands out? Like in the dentistry world, it's like, I went to school, plop. And then
Right.
you're like looking and you're going like, okay, well, what skill set do you have from school? Nothing. I mean, sometimes there is a reason to have like a conglomerated resume versus a chronological one in the case of like, these are my skills. I'm a shining star. I did this many endo procedures. I've assisted in this many extractions. I can do a crown post-corn buildup. I'm board certified. I mean, do you look at
Sure.
some of that stuff when you're looking at new grads?
Sure. Absolutely. I think for new grads, if they haven't had internships, you do want to put their coursework. If you had a high GPA, you want to put in there, what number did you graduate in your class? We just looked at a resume recently in the legal field where somebody was number 5 in their class. That's important. Put that on there. When it comes to the new grads also, you don't want a lot of white space on your resume. You definitely want to make sure it's filled, but not with fluff. So it does need to be, if you've interned anywhere, if you've volunteered anywhere, even if it's, in the healthcare industry, just what have you done that one makes you you, that shows your drive and passion for the career you've chosen, and what experience could you draw from that?
So your resume's complete. You
Mm-hmm.
get it, you look at it, you pass it on to the hiring manager.
Mm-hmm.
How long can a candidate expect before they're contacted for the next steps?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. There isn't an answer.
The people of the world, the people want to know because
Yeah,
they're impatient.
I know.
Their debt is
It's,
insurmountable and they're looking
I
for that
know.
perfect job to be able to pay their debt load back and to feel comfortable about their life and have benefits and be like a real
Mm-hmm.
functioning person in society instead of an educated person. So give
And
us an idea. How would you handle it? People are impatient. So what your resume's in, what do you do next? What would you do?
I would wait a couple days and then I would email the hiring manager. If you don't have the contact of the person who is doing that, I truly would pick up the phone and ask to speak to HR and say, hey, I applied for this job. I don't know who's reviewing resumes, but I just wanted to express my interest and just say, hey, I'd really like to be considered. If there's an opportunity to be interviewed, please consider me. Little things like that do stand out. Not everybody is doing that, and especially in today's world of pointing and clicking and just applying and applying and applying. Much like employers are getting a lot of different resumes, there are job seekers out there that are just applying everywhere and may not be that serious about jobs, but are doing it just to get it out. So by calling and saying, hey, I applied to your job, I am really interested in working for your company for X, Y, and Z reasons. I'm wondering if my resume has been reviewed yet.
I also would tell candidates, go look at the website of the company.
Yeah.
See if you can get a feel for the culture, if it's something that you're really interested in. And is this a company looking for somebody who's a go-getter? Like, do they kind of want you to push the envelope and call and show interest and have a sense of urgency? Or
Yeah.
are they a wait and see kind of operation? Because every company runs a little differently. Some companies don't want,
Mm-hmm.
they're knee deep in making decisions.
Yeah.
They're the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a small little vessel out there that can turn on a dime. They're a huge company.
Mm-hmm.
Heartland and Aspen, a North American Dental Partners, those guys all have north of 1,000 clinics. So they're
Mm-hmm.
looking at so many resumes to fill spots. That's a big deal. The other thing I would also say I would put in your resume, especially for a new grad, is be humble. You are looking
Yeah.
for mentorship. You are looking for CE classes. Talk about those things. Don't lose your personality, but let
Mm-hmm.
them know that you're open to learning their way of operating and handling things.
No,
How do you feel about that?
I would agree, and I would actually, people don't necessarily have, back in the day there was like an objective statement on top of the resumes. People don't really have that anymore, or a summary. I don't know if you're seeing that still, but definitely use part of you're not seeing that. No. So definitely use your resume to say ongoing CEs, or where you're looking to go, or what your next step is. Absolutely.
Anyway, well, I think it's hard out there, and I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of some do's and don'ts with your resume. One thing I would like to tell you is that if you are somebody who's really looking for a job and you don't meet some of the criteria Sam and I talked about on your resume, you don't have that super high GPA, and you don't know what to put, you can always add a reference guide to, maybe you have a professor that was really fabulous, that really
That's a very
connected
good
with
point.
you, that can kind of fill in some of the blanks for a recruiting director or a recruitment officer. And I would say, resume references available upon request, because sometimes that might be the hurdle that gets you over the rest of the crowd to get you the job of your dreams. We can't wait to talk to you again.